Despite the slow start, Hikaru Nakamura comes back to defend his title in Gibraltar. Peter Doggers brings us the final update. Who's going to win at the Zurich Chess Challenge? Sean and I take our picks, we make our predictions, and we make our teams. See what that's about. And finally, somehow, despite my best efforts to lose, I did get the best of Lawrence Trent. Fabiano took down Robert Hess. People used to wonder, what's going on in the world of chess? Not anymore. It's ChessCenter. Well, Sean, our surprise of the week comes to us one more time from the TradeWise Gibraltar Chess Festival as Jose Diaz, brilliantly, if I don't say so myself, depicted in his latest cartoon for us, shows top grandmasters like Vishy Anand, Arkady Naiditch, and Nigel Short all sitting around for a drink afterwards talking about what the heck went wrong. And I'm going to ask you, Sean, is it just a random coincidence, something in the water, or is there an X's and O's chess explanation as to why you think top grandmasters don't necessarily perform as well sometimes against lower rated, maybe more motivated competition in these big open events?
Well, I think there's got to be a pattern here, and my guess is that it has something to do with the amount of focus that they're putting into the game. I think the level of danger that these top grandmasters are feeling when they're playing someone a few hundred points lower than them is less, and I think it might cause them to not look as deeply into the position. But this is a terrible error. We saw Anand lose 20 rating points in one tournament, and this drops him out of the top 10. This means that he might not get invited to top elite tournaments around the world going forward. So if you're going to take a risk and you're going to play at one of these opens, you've got to give it your full attention, and you've got to treat it like it is the best tournament in the world at that time.
That's a great point, and one I didn't really think about, that this might be a decline for Anand's invitation list and maybe the future of his career. Obviously, we know he hasn't accomplished one, a very great one, but it may not be worth the risk to play in more open events. And because of that, maybe our surprise of the week should go to his quote that he gave Peter Doggers as Peter was on site covering the event, saying that this may not be his last open event, even though it was his first one in 23 years. Let's turn it over to Peter now in featured news, get our final TradeWise Gibraltar chess report, and see what Anand had to say about his performance. And as we move over, surprise of the week, we welcome in Peter Doggers for featured news. Peter?
Hi, Danny. Bringing you the news from my hometown, Amsterdam. This section is all about the TradeWise Gibraltar Chess Festival, won by Hikaru Nakamura for the second year in a row.
Yep.
After the penultimate round, no less than 8 players were tied for first place, and 4 of them could still reach the playoff final. Top seed Nakamura won his game to become the first to qualify, and then only Maxime van Geldergraaf, second seed in the tournament, joined him in that playoff.
And it was exciting.
It was a thrilling affair with 4 draws and then an Armageddon game, won by Nakamura.
Yep.
If king takes h7, knight g5 check. Hello, he's gone for it. He's gone for it. He's gone bishop h7. Oh dear, a bolt from the blue, that one.
The American #1 told his fans on Chess.com/TV in the chat that he was a bit under the weather during the tournament, but right on time he started to feel better.
I've been feeling better at the last couple days though in general, which was very good timing certainly, because I seem to play a little bit better. I think yesterday and today I played very good games just in general. Yesterday against Gupta, and then today against Anton. I thought that for the most part I played very good games. Sure they were both doing quite well at some point, but when they slipped up, I took advantage of the opportunity. I didn't ever let the game become complicated again. So I felt that I really did what I had to do the last 2 days, especially.
Definitely. Well, nothing like a sacrifice of bishop takes h7 check that'll make you feel better right on time. I'm sure Hikaru did feel better.
Yeah, and in the same interview and also at the closing ceremony, Nakamura praised his opponent.
I think, let me put it this way, if it was anyone else, I think I probably would have won this in 2 games. But in the 10+5. But Maxime, he's just a fantastic rapid and blitz player.
Well, it's nice to see that praise, classy words, and nice to see Hikaru celebrate, but not every Super GM was happy after this event, right?
Indeed. And last week we already reported about Vishy Anand's disappointing results, and eventually the Indian legend finished on 6.5 out of 9 with 3 draws and 2 losses. He dropped 22 rating points. I spoke to him after the tournament and he said, "I haven't decided yet whether I should go back for or try to forget these games, erase them. Probably I'll go for erasure. Let's just say that the head wasn't screwed on straight. It sounds a bit random, but it wasn't. Some days just nothing works." However, Anand, who played his last Open 23 years ago, did not completely rule out that he would play another. It's been 23 years. Apparently I've forgotten how to play an Open. Let's see. There might be a chance to do another one in the future. Well, in a few days from now, Anand can redeem himself in Zurich, a tournament he almost won last year. More about that later in ChessCenter. This is it for me, Danny. I'm off to Cuba. See you in a few weeks.
Thank you, Peter, and have safe travels.
Thanks.
And we wish you the best on your vacation. Welcoming in Grandmaster Robert Hess. You know what time it is. It's Move of the Week time. Robert, lots of candidates this week, but the one coming to us from the Moskva Open, only one man had two I's in his name. You know what those I's stand for? Double exclamation marks, Holmes. He played the move Rook takes F3. Now, even though there were other moves here, Robert, tell everybody why this move was so sweet and made White tremble.
Danny, it's dynamite on the board. After Rook takes F3, Black is threatening to just open up the White king side. Here, White was forced to capture Knight takes F3, and after the follow-up Bishop takes F3, well, the idea is simple. Next, G2 is hanging, and if G takes F3 here, after Queen takes H3, that White king is not escaping at all. It's going to be checkmate in a few moves. So instead, Gergely on Tal, instead of G takes F3, went Rook E4, sacrificing back the exchange, but it was too little too late for Antal. After Bishop E4, Queen takes E4, well, Black's now equal in the material, but up a pawn. And so with an easy game, a great position, it was all downhill for White from there.
Yeah, and it was such an easy game. Natural moves that just went after the e-pawn were enough to force White's hand into sacrificing a rook. He only ends up going down the exchange with chances for a perpetual, but not enough. Gergely on Tal is looking for something, but he's kind of choking on his own name right now. Gurgle. He can't find the checks that he needs, and guess what? Time runs out. Black picks up the pawn, on f6, and with that, it's all over. Now, tell me exactly how sweet it is, Robert, to sack a rook on somebody when it comes to a move like Rook takes F3. Not every day you get to play a move like that, right?
Yeah, Dave, it's sweeter to be loved by you, but second best is Rook takes F3, just opening that king side. There's nothing White can do, and it's just a great feeling and a great win by Black in this game.
James Taylor was all up in this move of the week, and with it, we give Yuri a thumbs up. Well, Sean, our social channel chatter this week takes a slightly unexpected angle. Is it ever expected when someone photobombs you?
Oh, no, it wouldn't be a photobomb if it was expected.
Right, of course. And as we take a look in at this and a Facebook update that Magnus gave his fans saying, "Every day I'm hustling," which is already newsworthy in and of itself, that he thinks it's a good time to take advantage of an old man on the beach. But that point aside, if you look closely here, Sean, something amazing is happening in the background. Tell everybody what that is and what you think about it.
Well, it looks like this man over here is proposing to a young lady, asking for her hand in marriage. And it also looks like she's turning this way, almost as if to say, hold on, let me check and see if Magnus will marry me first, and I'll be right back.
No, it really does look exactly like that he's down on one knee and she's a little bit hesitant. Who knows? We don't want to cast aspersions. Maybe she's just so shocked and blown away. But I will say that when I saw that, my first thought was, she looks like she's about to say no. How heartbreaking would that be if you went down as the guy who photobombed Magnus Carlsen's picture with a failed marriage proposal?
But you know, at this distance, he could have just found a shell in the dirt. You just don't know.
Right, no, the whole thing could be misleading. We invite everyone to let us know what they think in the comments. Maybe let us know of their favorite photobomb chess moments if they know of any others. Either way, Magnus, maybe you should be preparing for another tournament instead of taking advantage of this poor old guy. Either way, it led to some entertaining material for us, and that is Social Channel Chatter of the Week. Bringing in FIDE Master Mike Klein, broadcasting to us again from somewhere in the world. Mike, I can only hope you're not being held against your will in that basement.
I'm not. I'm not sure if you can hear the church bells in the background, Danny. I'm right beside the Strasbourg Cathedral, once the world's tallest structure for about 2 centuries. But anyway, we've got pastries in the morning. We've got bratwurst in the evening. I love the French-German influence. Let's talk about what happened in the week that was in chess, though, Danny. Chess.com hosted its first ever double death match, 2 for the price of 0. It was Team Chess.com versus Team Fabiano Caruana. In the early match, Danny, you took care of business. All of those blitz battles really came into play when you beat Caruana's manager, International Master Lawrence Trentz. You tied him in the first 2 segments, but you won the first 4 bullet games, and the match was out of reach. Congratulations to you, Danny. In the evening match, Team Caruana got its revenge. Even though Fabiano was spotting Grandmaster Robert Hess 1 game per segment, he won the first 2 segments, and Robert made it a little bit interesting in the bullet, but not enough to overcome one of the world's best chess players. And in the end, Caruana won his second death match while Hess lost his third. Very cool day of chess, and really it was about 6 hours of chess.
Yeah, it was exciting having covered both my own death match and then Fabiano and Hess's match. I can say that it was exhausting. Now, also we had some big Chess.com events outside of the death match with Georg Meyer winning his record 6th title Tuesday, right? What were the storylines there?
Yeah, as you know, we always have 2 Title Tuesdays on the same day, kind of reflecting what happened in the death matches. Meyer won the early event. It's now his 6th lifetime title. He's now raised his cushion above second place Nakamura and Jobova, who only have 4 each. Now, Nakamura was trying to catch up. In fact, funny story, I ran into him at the buffet dinner about 30 minutes before the match while we were both in Gibraltar. He had forgotten that it was a Title Tuesday. Recall that he won the event in Gibraltar. He was reminded on Skype by one of our own staff members and was hurrying up through his dinner so he could play in the early edition of Title Tuesday. He actually went on to play in the late edition as well. Imagine that. He's playing in a classical tournament and he plays both Title Tuesdays. I think he was up until the sun rose. In any case, he didn't win either event. Meyer won the early one, and Chess.com Title Tuesday newcomer Yuri Solodovninchenko, really testing me there with my pronunciation. He won the late event. It was a fun day of chess.
Yeah, and congrats to Yuri, and that's funny to hear about Hikaru because I didn't even know that, and maybe that late night Blitzfest helped him on his way to turn things around in Gibraltar. Now, the final event that you covered recently was a little bit of news came out about the upcoming candidates tournament. I know it's not all the news we're hoping for from Aegon, but still I think everybody has this event marked on their calendar. And what do we now know about the candidates tournament in March?
Well, if you go to chess.com/news, you'll read my report. We know the setting. It's going to be in the DI portion of the Telegraph building in Moscow. This is a building that, well, it used to house telegraphs, but now it's sort of the cutting edge of Moscow innovation. A lot of co-workers go there, a lot of IT developers. And so the owner of Aegon, Ilya Morenzin, said that this is where he wanted the match to be because he wants chess to be at the forefront of technology. He wants to grow the game, and he thought this would be a great site. But what we still have not found out from Aegon is if the World Championship is in fact going to be in the U.S. and where it's going to be. Aegon has now missed its second deadline, its self-imposed deadline for the end of January to let us know this. So candidates taking place as scheduled, but we really don't know about the World Championship yet.
Well, let's only hope that Ilya and team come up with big and good news when they do finally announce that site. Mike, thank you for the update there. I didn't know that it was being held in this sort of center of technology for Moscow. That is pretty exciting. Good for chess to be associated with such a genre. And Mike, thank you for bringing us all the updates. We'll see you in time trouble.
Thank you, Danny.
Well, Robert, we know the TradeWise Gibraltar Chess Festival was full of upsets, full of interesting results. We loved the open-style tournament. And perhaps no result was more interesting than seeing Super Grandmaster Yu Yangyi of China unable to hold this pretty easily drawn opposite-colored bishop ending. Robert, tell everybody the move he played here that wasn't just a blunder because of the single move, but showed a little bit of a lack of understanding as far as what the goal is for white and the ideal position for the king and bishop to hold this opposite-colored bishop ending.
Yeah, here Yu Yangyi went bishop to c8, which actually immediately loses. Black played properly with f4 check. The king went up to e4 to the side of those pawns, and the black king was about to infiltrate after king h4, threatening to go to g3, and from there the pawns are rolling, and white cannot possibly sacrifice the bishop for both of them. It's a losing ending. So if we backtrack a few moves, instead of bishop to c8, king f2, the immediate retreat, was the move that held the draw. The whole point is that the king needs to sit on g2, and the white bishop would love to find itself on e2 d1 once the black pawn goes to f4. So that's the ideal setup for white. And if the king tries to run the opposite way via e5, once the king gets there, then the bishop goes in the c8 to h3 diagonal, preventing any further infiltration. So Yu Yangyi missed his chance to retreat with his king and salvage the half point.
Yeah, you described the goals for white pretty well. Let me show some of the lines for people to see it visually. For example, Robert, after f4, king g2, if the black king comes to f6 and white waits, what's the key move to play after black plays king to e5 to highlight the drawing technique you just suggested?
The move here is bishop to d7. If black goes g3 to protect that pawn, it's immediately a draw once that bishop reroutes itself to the f3 square. If not for g3 and goes f3 check instead, well, the king goes up to g3, and now there's no way to protect that g4 pawn. And again, the bishop will cover the f1 square and save the easy half point. So the king cannot come over to the center of the board.
It's interesting. So it seems, if I'm to summarize kind of the goal you're giving our users to give them some sort of educational takeaway, the point is the king can't quite be in two places at once, right? It wants to be on e3 to help the pawn forward so that white doesn't have this opportunity to just sack and get two pawns, but he can't be on e3 and protect the g4 pawn from either this diagonal or this diagonal at the same time. Is that right?
That's absolutely right, Danny. The king is just overworked. The light square bishop does well to attack the pawns at the right moment, salvaging that half point.
Well, really instructive. So now we're going to thank Yu Yingyi for making his blunder of the week. We know it wasn't easy for you to give us this instructional moment, but you came through in the clutch, buddy. In all seriousness, sorry you lost this game, but congratulations to Gawain Jones, and you got our blunder of the week, man. Well, Sean, the next Super Grandmaster event on everybody's calendar is the Zurich Chess Challenge. This year a little bit different and almost rapid format. The time control is a little bit of a hybrid between classical and rapid chess. And as we take a look at these 6 players invited, Sean, kick us off with a little bit of a preview of how you see Vladimir Kramnik's Zurich Chess Challenge going.
Well, I expect him to do well. You know, he's been on the bench a lot lately, and I think that he'll come out fresh and swinging. I think when you have an older guy like that, the time off can do a lot of good.
Interesting. Okay, I don't know that the rapid format is where he's best suited, but I think the rest might play in his favor. I agree. Hikaru Nakamura is number 2 on the list. I'll step up here and say I expect Hikaru to actually win this event. Not only did he come back after sort of a slow start in Gibraltar to prove that he is continuing along his goal of becoming a candidate for the World Championship, but in this rapid format, I just see Hikaru being comfortable right at home and scoring very well. Somebody who did not do very well at the TradeWise Gibraltar was, of course, Anand. Sean, how do you see Vishy bouncing back here?
Oh, I actually don't see him bouncing back for a couple of reasons. One, I think his confidence has been shaken a little bit in Gibraltar. I think the other thing to pay attention to is that when Anand is sitting on opening prep that he cannot play, he tends to play very poorly. And I think that's going to haunt him in this tournament.
Wow, going deep with that one. That's a great point. No, really, that's a great point. I think that might have been something to do with how he played in Gibraltar, and we'll see if that opening prep pays off in the candidates, right? But before we get there, we move on to my man, Alexei Shirov. I think Alexei will do well here. He's kind of the fun, rapid fill-in guy. I think in this format, he's going to play a lot of exciting chess, even if he loses them all. I look for him to at least make some fire on the board. Hashtag book reference. All right. Levon Aronian up next, Sean. Who you got here?
Well, Levon Aronian, I think he's going to be the guy who takes this tournament home. I expect him to play extremely well. I think he's going to be sharp on his way to the candidates tournament. This is a guy who does not struggle with opening preparation, always has new ideas either from his team or from himself or from his country. So I expect him to be playing very well here.
Interesting stuff. Also a guy like Kramnik feeling a little bit more rested maybe than Hikaru, right? We'll see if
Absolutely.
You're right. Finally, number 6 is Anish Giri. Played okay, I think, in Vikings. Maybe not the result he was looking for, but Gary's a little bit of a wild card here. I don't know how he'll fare against this field in a rapid format. I'm going to expect him to finish right in the middle of the pack because I don't know how he's going to fare. And with that, I have an idea, Sean.
All right.
You and I just went through all 6 players, and we kind of previewed one after the other. What do you say you and I raise the stakes here a little bit? You think you're so good at predicting these events. You got Aronian. I got Hikaru. What if we have a little bit of a wager and ask our audience right now, go answer the poll question this week, who you think is going to win the Zurich Chess Challenge? I'll take my 3 up against your 3 to score better at the Zurich Chess Challenge. What say you?
And I'm totally agreed to this, and I want a pepperoni pizza when I'm proved right.
All right, so we got pizza on the line. That's a pie. All right, so I got everyone at home, so you remember, go cast your vote for who you think is going to win. But to remind you, I have Hikaru, Shirov, and Giri on Team Danny versus Kramnik, Anand, and Aronian for Team Sean. Let us know who you think is going to win, and let us know who you think will win the Zurich Chess Challenge. And that is our Looking Ahead segment for this week. Well, he's back, but he's still in the attic. We'll see if he's ready for some fast-paced action. Mike, you're up.
Danny, Hao Yifan and Cristobal Hernandez are playing a chess match on 2 continents, South America and Antarctica. Would you go that far to make history?
I wouldn't drive 20 minutes to the grocery store. Of course I wouldn't travel for an event like that. But I will say this. Judith Polgar recently released a video showing all the festivities that took place at the 2015 Global Chess Festival. Makes you wonder if when all things are said and done, she will have done more for chess and youth than any top grandmaster before her. You buy that?
Yeah, she might be the world's premier ambassador, especially if her festival says anything about her efforts, the right mix of fun and competitiveness. Danny, this weekend we've got ourselves a Bundesliga match. Will Baden-Baden win their 11th straight title?
With guys like Svidler, Aronian, and Anand, that's 3 of the 8 candidates playing. They better win. Now, Mark Taimanov, former Super GM, just turned 90. I'm not sure how many of the world's formerly top 10 have lived to see 100, but if he does, how big is that party going to be?
It would be huge. You know what would be even better is if he played his own party. He was one of the top dual concert pianists in the world, and if he played his 100th, I'm buying a ticket to St. Petersburg for that. Now, Ashley and Komsky are about to get elected to the U.S. Chess Hall of Fame this April. Should active players be getting into a Hall of Fame?
It's interesting, right? As a baseball fan, I do find it a little bit weird that Komsky is still so active. His career isn't over yet they're already deeming it Hall of Fame worthy. I guess it's okay with me. Moving on, I'm going to say the final pop culture hit for chess last week was the Super Bowl commercial with the infamous, adorable little blonde girl playing a simul. How many text messages did you get afterwards asking whether that was a real chess master? Because I had several.
Well, Danny, my phone doesn't work in Europe, and more importantly, it was hard enough finding the game on French TV. They didn't even have the commercials. So this was news to me, Danny. It's one of the problems I face in Europe while trying to watch a U.S. event.
Well, it was fun. I recommend you look it up, and I can say to all my non-chess friends, no, she is not an actual chess genius master, but who knows, maybe she'll inspire a few to come. After all, that was the point of the commercial. Mike, thank you for being here for Time Trouble. Have a blast in Europe covering Zurich, and we will see you later next week's Chess Center.
Bon voyage, Danny.